everyone. Welcome to my channel. If you've been here before, welcome back. Welcome back, my love. Great to see you. I will be checking out the live chat, so make sure to leave a comment. Ask me any question you want. But specifically today, I am going to be doing my Hacking Happiness podcast live. Typically, I record them and upload them to the Hacking Happiness podcast. If you haven't already seen it, check it out. The links are below. Let me know. But for those of you who have subscribed to my channel, especially when I used to do readings, if you didn't already know, I do the live readings, personal readings, in fact, for those who are members of the channel. So check that out, join, and get your questions ready. And it's not just going to be a general, it's going to be for you. And if you are going to miss the live, when I do the members live only, you could always put a comment of a question. And as a member, I will do your reading. Whether it's an astrological reading or the other types of reading that I was doing, like the tarot. It's your choice. Now, with that being said, I want to go into a follow. I started doing these Hacking Happiness podcasts, and the last one I did, I decided I was going to start telling my story in tidbits. And so it's going to be like the new series. I don't have planned like how many episodes I'm going to be doing, anything like that. It's just, all right. So I'm telling the story of how when I lost everything, including my mind, I started to have to figure out ways to get through it, get out of it. And one of the things that I did, which I mentioned in the last podcast, was something as simple as whistling. I was such in a dark place that whistling definitely helped me. And I didn't know how to whistle. That was the biggest part of the story, is that I didn't know how to whistle. Yet I knew that that would be something to focus on. So whenever you look at your life and you're like, why is everything the same? Or why is it not changing? Or why is it not getting better? Most likely you're still doing a lot of the same things or all of the same things that you did before. And the only thing to get out of whatever state you were in is by changing the habits, your daily habits. Your daily habits affect your mind. Your thoughts are going to affect your daily habits. So when you put yourself on a goal and you're like, all right, baby steps, I'm going to start by whistling. I mean, you can't go wrong. If you're not feeling good, you're not feeling positive, whistle. Even if you don't know how to whistle, and then challenge yourself to get better and better every time and choose harder and harder songs. I couldn't believe it. I was like, my whole life, I'm like, I'm not a whistler. I mean, I like to whistle, but I can't. I suck at it. And then through that, not only did it help me, I was amazed at how good I got. Not, to toot my horn or anything like that, but I was like, I remember even telling my father once, and I was like, you know what? I know how to whistle now. And we're on the phone, and I start whistling. One of the first songs that I challenged myself to do was A Dream is a Dream, and I believe that's Cinderella. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And as infantile it might seem, but that's the whole point. It's getting yourself out of the funk. And being jovial is a great one to do, right? So then my next step after I started whistling, and that did change my energy, and it changed the way I reacted to things. It changed the decisions that I made. It's amazing how something so small had such power. And then my next step was challenging myself to get out of the negative mind, negative thoughts before they even happen. In my case in specific, at that time, I was living in Center City, Philadelphia, and I could not find parking. It was like the worst to find parking. And I mean, so bad. I don't know if it's ever happened to you. If it's happened to you, then you know what I'm talking about. Like when you're driving for an hour, you have to go to the restroom. You're just so stressed out and you're tired. You came back from work and you're just, of course, you're already like, of course, nothing's working out for me. Everything's failing. It's so easy to go there. It's so easy to stay in that space, especially because the results are showing you that, right? You're like, look at this. Like, I can never find parking. So I had a friend at the time. We're still friends. But he was like, Olga, you have to be positive. I'm like, I've been down that road and look where it took me. Like, you can't just be positive. It can't just be the whole. And he's like, yeah, well, you got to start somewhere. He's like, you've got to be positive. You've got to say what you want, not what you expect to happen, and especially negative things. And he was saying, he's like, start small. Like, I'm telling you, it works. And I'm like, no, because positivity is almost like a cloak to, like a cover up to hope. And that's so easily, rebutted, because you're like, I hoped for the best, but look what happened, right? I hoped because you didn't really believe. So I'm like, all right, based on my own intellect about it and my own way of experiencing that so-called positivity, I'm like, all right, let's see if this is true. Maybe he's right. And it's not about just being positive, but that I have to believe, like truly believe, like the definition of faith. So without a shadow of a doubt. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this for 2 weeks and see if it really works. And at the time, I was such in a negative space that I really was like, I'm going to be proven right, because I'm always right. I kind of, again, very ego stuck in my mind. I'm a fixed sign, I'm a Leo, very classic. And I'm strong-minded, so of course, changing my mind is even harder. So here, I go, all right, I'm going to visualize that I get parking every day, no problem, like within minutes. Not only am I going to find parking within minutes, there's going to be a spot open and waiting for me. That's it. I'm going to do this. So I do this, right? So the first day I do it, nothing. Of course not. And I'm like, of course, the first thing my brain did was, you see, doesn't work. I'm like, oh, hold on. I made a commitment, and my goal is 2 weeks straight. So the next day, I did it again. And it worked. I'm like, and the feeling of, happiness and celebration and like I won, or like even better that I had some power, like a magician has power, right? Or a genie in a bottle. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, all right, and this feels good. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stay with it. I'm going to stay in that feeling. And then the next day, it didn't work. And the following day, it didn't work. And the following of that day, 3 days in a row, I'm like, it's wearing on me, and it's touching base and connecting to this typical belief that everything, I never have good luck. Nothing good ever happens for me. I have to work my ass off, and that's it. And, I just got to be a fighter. I just got to be a survivor. But I was like, wait. You stuck to the 2 weeks. Stick to the 2 weeks. See what happens. Even if you don't get parking, let's see if it changes anything else in you and around you and the things that come my way. So I'm taking notes, I'm journaling, but I stuck with the parking. In fact, I would start visualizing that I would get parking the day before. I would visualize that I would get parking while I'm at work before I even left and got in the car to go get the parking. All these steps was pivotal to it working, because I had to recondition, rewire my brain, reset the mindset. And then no matter what, the unwavering faith that I'm going to get this parking spot. And sure enough, I do. And I'm here to tell you, after 20 years, it's been over 20 years since I started that, I have friends now calling me like, Olga, do your thing again. Do your thing, because I can't find parking, and only when you do it or when you get in the car with me, we find parking right away after I've been looking for a half hour and so forth. And I'm like, I'm telling you, it's because I've reset my brain, locked it in, and ever since, I'm like, people are like, oh my God, you always get like rock star parking on top of it. And it doesn't matter where I'm at. It's amazing. It's amazing because you're like, where's the science that backs this up? And if you look at like metaphysics, that there is tangible matter to your thoughts. And more we have technology to be able to measure that and see that. But back in the day, I didn't have that. But I was so desperate that I at least did that and see where it took me. And it started with the parking. And some friends of mine call it like the parking karma. No, it wasn't. It was my belief and my dedication and my focus on it. Just like when you want to get good at anything, you focus on it nonstop. But I realized, and I'm sure you have too, the hardest thing to see sometimes is our mind. How many times have we heard, get out of your own way? Well, these are little tidbits, massive life hacks. Hence, that's why I call it hacking happiness. Hey, Olga, how come you're always in a good mood? Even when the world is falling apart, even when my world is falling apart, or things aren't working my way, or things break down, or, or somebody has to go and I have to find a replacement for them, at my company. Whatever it is. Could be a family member, could be a friend that's ill. It's the mind. And I believe more energetically. I think the soul and the energy is what's real. And that the mind is like a software, right? It's like a chip. And whatever information you upload and you download, that's what's in the chip. So although it's very powerful and very important, but we don't talk about this enough on how everyone's just like, oh, just change your mind or do this. And you just got to take away those limited beliefs. Okay. But then how do you do that? You can't just say, okay, I'm going to stop these limited beliefs and that's it. Yeah, well, you've got to tell yourself every day, just like you tell yourself every day if you're ugly and you keep thinking you're ugly and you keep looking like you're ugly and you see all your flaws. The same thing. If you're focused, whatever you're focused on, whatever the focus is where the energy flows. And you're going to get more of that. So until you can dominate your thoughts, nothing's going to change. No matter how much you want to change, no matter how much you're like, no, I'm a new person. I'm a born again. I'm going to change everything. I'm going to move. I'm going to do this. I'm going to change my hair. I'm going to go get another career, go back to school, whatever it is. But if you don't change the consciousness that created the life until where you're at this very moment, the future will not be much different. And what's the definition of insanity? To do the same things and expect different results. Einstein quote, right? I'm sure you're familiar with him. And guess what? A lot of people don't know this, but he was very much into the esoteric, very much into the metaphysical and alchemy. In fact, he had books and all kinds of stuff right on his nightstand. Like, he used different knowledge to help answer our science, our physical matter, our measurable matter, right? In the tangible way, in our 3D physical way. It's amazing. You guys should look it up. I definitely recommend that you look into that because it will give you another perspective. So just because I tell you to set a small goal, and that's my hacking happiness tip for today, set a goal. One thing that you're going to do different, and that's going to be positive, and you're not going to let it go. You're not going to let it go. You're going to definitely, give me 1 second. I am, hello? I feel like for some reason hello? I know, it's annoying. Sorry, guys. But like, because I'm recording this for the podcast and I will be uploading the audio of this live on the podcast, I've noticed that someone mentioned to me, in fact, they're like, how come you can only hear one side? I'm like, here we go. And I don't know why it does this, where I'm like, I want you to be able to hear me in both ears. Makes sense, right? Hello? All right, guess what? Technology is technology. But do something positive for yourself in action. First in the thought, change the thought. If you think I can never find somebody, if you're single and you're looking for someone, change that. Say, I have so many opportunities all the time. Like I can meet somebody at the supermarket. I can meet them at the gym. I can meet them anywhere, anytime, and I'm ready. Because I always meet people that are great and that are aligned with me and that we have things in common. Write it the way you want to write it. Say you can't find the right job. You do the same thing. Now, those are like big picture things. On today's Hacking Happiness tip, I want you to start small. Start small. As something as small as, I wish people smiled at me more. Say that's one thing that you wish. Something very, very basic. And then you start smiling. And then believe that you're going to see people smiling at you more than ever. And like my story went, you can't just give up after once or twice. Give it at least 2 weeks. 10 days to 2 weeks I'm telling you, it's a magical space of time. And all you have to do is be consistent. And whenever the negative thought comes up, the thought against your new paradigm, your new reality, you just squash it. Delete, delete, delete. Like the little button on your computer. On your keyboard, right? All right. Well, let me know in the comments below. Any thoughts, any questions? Your comments are my fuel. I will read them and I will respond. And until next time, much love and many blessings. And I'll talk to you soon.